What do you expect from a good volunteer?
Well, generally, for any volunteer, I think, it's just that. Well, for press, being aware of what's going on in your venue, understanding the sport, understanding the protocols, recognizing early in the competition the personalities of some of the important people, the coaches and the delegation chiefs, and understanding that after playing in a match or a game, the athletes and coaches are going to be exhausted and emotional, but at the same time, the press is going to be stressed, and somehow understanding that they are diplomats that are trying to accommodate both of these people. So just being having a high EQ, the emotional intelligence quotient, the emotional IQ, we sometimes call an EQ. So you're just very sensitive to others. I think that would be a great quality in a volunteer in a press venue operation. But just generally, any volunteer, strike the balance between being welcoming and being informed. Those are the two things. Say I covered a lot of basketball at Olympics over the years. By the end of a fortnight, you know the volunteers very well. We've lived together here for 2 weeks almost at a venue. And over that time, I think you learn how to make reasonable requests of the volunteers. The volunteers have learned how to anticipate some of your needs. And I think any of us in the media would do well to just take the time to talk to a few volunteers and say, look, I'll be doing this every day for the next 11 or 12 days. I will need this and this. Could you help me? And you don't want to interfere with their ability to report to their own boss. You don't want to do that, but or go to whoever the venue manager is or the venue press chief. We will do that and say, boy, it would be great if we could have this or that.
And could you explain, just for the Russian audience, what do you mean by saying anticipating the needs of reporters or journalists?
Yeah, I think the biggest time where we're under pressure is when an event has ended, and we need information, and the mix zone and the press conference are imperfect but necessary things. The press conferences tend to generate very little raw information because everything has to be translated. So the amount of real usable stuff is in half from what you think it would be. And then the mix zone is you have a physical barrier between the reporters and the athletes. And sometimes you have to get the attention of an athlete to come down and talk to you. And again, that's where a volunteer can be really helpful. You can say, look, this happened for me in London. I needed to talk to a woman from Botswana who had run in the 400 meters, and I got a hold of a volunteer who knew where she was back in the mix zone, was able to pull her out. And that's the most stressful time for us, because that's our one little window to get access to an athlete, is in the mix zone after they compete. Because with few exceptions, we can't really go into the village and speak to them there. We may not have the ability to have a mobile phone number for a coach to set something up. So it's a stressful time right after an event.